The city is trying to help more Boston residents find jobs with the emergency medical services. To tell us about efforts in recruitment and job readiness are the chief of Boston EMS, James Hooley, and a coordinator from the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, Angie Camacho. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start with the chief. For people who don't know what this is already, what exactly does an emergency medical technician do?
Well, in Boston, EMTs and paramedics are what staff the city's 911 ambulance service for the city of Boston. We average about 130,000 plus calls a year, individual calls. Last year, I believe we had about 84,000 transports. So it's a busy service that equates to about 350 plus calls on a typical day, about 240 transports, a lot of standbys, a lot of evaluations, and EMTs in Boston are busy. They're also very proficient at what they do. So we do a lot of specialized and enhanced training once they come on.
We're going to get into more details about that, but Angie, why is the city helping with the job readiness here? What's the reason for that? The mayor had something in mind, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. City Academy, when I go out to different events, is actually the mayor's response to the community to keep the commitment to offer jobs with the support of the city through building skills and building overall opportunity through pipeline opportunities like EMS.
Chief, I guess one of the other things that's going on here is that the skills that are needed for this job, we call them technicians,
yes,
but you're also dealing with people in crisis too, right?
We're dealing with people in crisis. We're dealing with people, yes. A lot of people can be technically, as you say, proficient, be good at CPR, be good at delivering a medication, but people who can work in various conditions, all hours, whether it's on a subway bench, or whether it's in a private single family, or it could be in a homeless shelter. We have to be able to know how to care for people, look for subtle signs of illness. Everything isn't always obvious. It isn't always the an angulated fracture or something like that. Sometimes it's suspecting someone who could be the victim of domestic violence. It could be also looking for subtle signs of maybe some kind of intoxication or overdose. So there's a lot of different things that have to be considered once you get out in the field, once you get beyond the classroom. So that's why a lot of the training is done not just in the classroom, but then out real world in the field.
Andrew, I imagine what also is needed here is good communication. And sometimes an EMT has to talk to people who don't speak English. It might be culturally different. So what's the city trying to do about that?
We have been very committed to going out throughout all the neighborhoods to look for candidates who are not only inspired to keep Boston healthier and safer as an EMT, but also reflect the social fabric of the city that we are now. We've been very fortunate to have a diverse group of candidates who come from a lot of the either indigenous have the indigenous connections to their native countries that are reflective of our diversity, or are close within a few generations and can therefore understand the cultural differences that we might encounter.
Jim, I want to go back to how you got into this field yourself. What made you go in this particular direction?
Well, I'll tell you, it was back in actually 1976. I was a student at UMass Boston, and just getting ready to go on summer break. And I used to work in the summers doing construction, I was a union laborer. I wound up breaking my ankle on a pickup softball game. And couldn't work. And I noticed in the local school paper that they were advertising they had some slots available in an EMT program. And I thought, that looks interesting. I had nothing else to do. And I did that and discovered I liked it and thought, geez, maybe I could do this for a living, or at least for a little while, and until I figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And now it's 40 years later and I'm still in the field, and very happy that worked out that way.
This has been our news. We're talking with Chief James Hooley of Boston EMS and Angie Camacho from the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development. Angie, I imagine one of the barriers for people to getting onto the EMS is that, well, got to do some learning and some training. That can maybe cost some money ordinarily, but I guess the city helps people get over that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's very helpful to have some support for a number of reasons. Generally, studies show that when you go in together, the cohort model is always a more advantageous model for success because a number of people are doing it together. Likewise, our City Academy program has what's called a bridge course that's actually starting tonight in order to prepare our next cohort for the academy coming up in August.
What do you do in the bridge course exactly?
Well, we have a wonderful mix of in-field training. What would you expect to see in the field? Getting your hands on some of the equipment, as well as becoming more familiar with the terminology that they might find in the textbook.
Chief, what do you think happens when someone who's going down this pipeline, just exploring even, do you find that people sometimes sort of get the bug, they get motivated, they really want to go further?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, again, personal experience, but also a lot of people that come in. A lot of the people that we wind up eventually say, if you're already certified as an EMT, you've completed this certification course, and you take our entrance exam. Some of the people that we interview, yes, they have worked as EMTs in the past, but a lot of people haven't. Some were maybe a BU student doing something else. They came to Boston and they decided, well, I took this class while I'm here, and they really liked it. We have people come from all walks of life, bartenders, waitresses, people who've worked doing maybe some research, you name it, musicians, whatever, who decide that, wow, this is, it's public safety and it's health. I get to do a little bit of everything, and I want to be, the person that when I walk into that home, that living room, that station, something like this, that people are looking to and expecting to help, and it's a very rewarding experience. Conversely, some people when they're taking some of the training, or even when they make it even as far as the academy, once we get them out in the field, some people may say, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's not what I saw in the news or whatever. Our hope is with all the prep that City Academy's done for us, and plus when they're in EMT class, people will find that out. They're either going to get really engaged and really want to take off, or they might decide, hey, maybe nursing or something else is better for me, and that's okay. If we put them on a good path in health services, which is a big employer in Boston, then that's just as good.
And by the way, when you mention nursing, is that something that happens fairly often, that they move up to some other kind of, at least healthcare job?
Yeah, we've lost people. I say lost because we do have some turnover, and we typically in a year we'll lose some people to physician assistant programs or nursing, or we just had a guy resign yesterday. He's going off to medical school. So it's we try to retain people as best we can.
But it's also a good foundation. Angie, if people want some more information about the job readiness and the training, what's the best place for them to at least start out in that?
Finding the Office of Workforce Development's department on the City of Boston website is the best way to find out more information about our programming.
Thank you very much, Angie Camacho and James Hooley.